The champagne flute shatters against marble, and I don't even flinch. After 6 hours standing in this corner of the Castellano Estate's grand ballroom, invisible in my black medical uniform, I've witnessed 3 broken glasses, 2 wardrobe malfunctions, and 1 very public argument between a senator and his mistress. The wealthy don't notice staff. We're furniture, ghosts in their glittering world. My feet ache in the sensible shoes I bought on clearance 3 months ago. The sole on my right foot is starting to separate, but new shoes aren't in the budget. Not when Mom's physical therapy bills came in last week. Not when my student loans from nursing school take half my paycheck before I even see it. Not when I'm working this private event gig for $75 an hour because my ER shift salary barely covers rent on my studio apartment in Queens. I adjust the medical bag at my station, checking supplies I've already checked twice. 2 EpiPens, glucose tablets, blood pressure cuff, bandages, aspirin. The basics for whatever emergency might arise when you pack 300 wealthy people into a room with an open bar and egos bigger than the crystal chandeliers overhead. The woman who hired me, Mrs. Chun, the event coordinator, made it very clear: be invisible, be competent, and don't bother the guests unless someone is literally dying. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. I'm Maya Torres, 28 years old, 5 feet 4 inches of exhaustion wrapped in polyester scrubs. I graduated top of my nursing class at Columbia 3 years ago, worked my ass off to get there on scholarships and loans, and now I spend my days in the chaos of Bellevue's ER and my nights standing in corners at events like this, a human insurance policy for people who wouldn't look twice at me on the street. The ballroom is a study in obscene wealth. Marble floors reflect light from chandeliers that probably cost more than I'll make in my lifetime. Women drip in diamonds, their gowns custom-made, their laughter practiced in hollow. Men in tuxedos that fit like second skins discuss mergers and acquisitions over 30-year-old scotch. The air smells like expensive perfume, cigar smoke, and privilege. I check my phone discreetly. 9:47 p.m. Another hour and 15 minutes, then I can go home, peel off these clothes, and collapse into bed for exactly 4 hours before my ER shift starts at 6 a.m. My stomach growls. I haven't eaten since the granola bar I shoved in my mouth at 3 p.m. between stabilizing a gunshot wound and running labs on a diabetic patient in crisis. There's a buffet table 50 feet away, laden with food I'll never taste. Shrimp cocktail, oysters on ice, some kind of caviar situation that probably costs more per ounce than gold. The music shifts. A string quartet in the corner begins something classical, something I don't recognize but that makes the crowd murmur appreciatively. Couples drift toward the dance floor. I watch them move, these people in their bubble of wealth and power, completely unaware that someone like me exists in their peripheral vision. Then he walks in. The energy in the room shifts immediately, subtly. Conversations pause for a fraction of a second. Heads turn. Eyes follow. He's not the loudest presence, or the flashiest. In fact, his tuxedo is understated compared to some of the peacocking I've witnessed tonight. But there's something about him that commands attention, demands it without asking. He's tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair silvering slightly at the temples. Late 30s, early 40s. A strong jaw, sharp cheekbones, and eyes that scan the room with the precision of someone who misses nothing. 2 men flank him, their stance unmistakably that of bodyguards despite their formal attire. They move through the crowd like a ship cutting through water, people parting instinctively to let them pass. I shouldn't stare. I have no business staring. But something about him pulls my attention like gravity. Mrs. Chin appears at my elbow, making me jump. "That's Dominic Castellano," she whispers, her eyes wide. "The host's nephew. Owns half the commercial real estate in Manhattan. Very important. Very private. Very dangerous, I think, but don't say. You don't work in a New York ER for 3 years without developing instincts about people. And my instincts are screaming that Dominic Castellano is more than a real estate mogul. There's something in the way people look at him. Not just respect. Fear. He moves to the bar, exchanges a few words with the bartender, accepts a drink. Even from across the room, I can see the controlled economy of his movements, the careful awareness of his surroundings. This is a man who has enemies, a man who watches his back. I force myself to look away, to focus on anything else. My job is to monitor for medical emergencies, not to gawk at powerful men who exist in a stratosphere so far above mine we might as well be different species. The next 30 minutes pass in a blur of nothing. I check supplies again. I shift my weight from one aching foot to the other. I watch the crowd thin slightly as some guests move to the terrace for cigars and quieter conversations. Then I see it. Dominic Castellano is at a high-top table near the buffet, engaged in conversation with 3 other men. A waiter approaches with a tray of hors d'oeuvres, offers them around. Castellano takes one absently, still talking, and brings it to his mouth. The change is immediate. His hand goes to his throat. His face, which had been composed, controlled, suddenly flushes red. He takes a step back from the table, and even from 30 feet away, I can see the confusion in his eyes, the recognition that something is very wrong. His bodyguards notice immediately, moving closer, but they look uncertain. One reaches for his phone. I'm already moving. My medical bag is in my hand before I consciously decide to grab it. My feet carry me across the marble floor, weaving between guests who haven't yet noticed the crisis unfolding. My ER training kicks in, shutting down everything except assessment, action, survival. By the time I reach him, his breathing is labored. His lips are swelling. His hand claws at his collar, loosening his bow tie. Anaphylaxis. Severe allergic reaction. Maybe 3 minutes before his airway closes completely. Sir, I say, my voice calm but commanding. I'm a nurse. You're having an allergic reaction. I need to help you. His eyes meet mine, dark and struggling to focus. He tries to speak, can't. One of his bodyguards steps between us. Move, I snap, with the authority I use in the ER when seconds matter and egos don't. He has maybe 2 minutes before he can't breathe at all. Get out of my way or watch him die. The bodyguard hesitates, looks to Castellano, who manages a jerky nod. I drop to my knees beside him as he sinks into a chair, already unzipping my medical bag. Do you have an EpiPen? I ask, even as my hands find mine. He shakes his head minutely, his breathing becoming more strained, more desperate. This is going to hurt, I tell him, meeting his eyes, but it's going to save your life. I don't wait for permission. Can't wait. His face is deepening from red to purple, his airway closing. I yank up his pant leg, expose his thigh, and drive the EpiPen into the muscle with the practiced efficiency of someone who's done this 100 times. The click of the injector is loud in my ears. I hold it there for the full 10 seconds, counting in my head, watching his face. The effect isn't instantaneous, but it's fast. Within 30 seconds, his breathing eases slightly. The swelling in his lips begins to recede. Color starts to return to normal, though he's still flushed, still clearly in distress. I keep my hand on his wrist, monitoring his pulse. Stay still, I murmur. The epinephrine is working, but you need to get to a hospital. This isn't over. His eyes focus on mine, clearer now, intense despite the trauma his body just endured. He gasps in a breath, then another. Shellfish, he manages, his voice rough. Allergic. Severely. My blood runs cold. I look at the waiter who served him, who's standing frozen 3 feet away, the tray still in his hands. What was on that? I demand, pointing to the hors d'oeuvre Castellano had eaten. Crab, the waiter stammers. Crab cake with remoulade. I turn back to Castellano, my medical mind putting pieces together too fast, too clear. Do you carry an EpiPen? Always, he rasps. Where? He gestures weakly toward his bodyguard, who's already pulling a leather case from his jacket pocket. Inside are 2 EpiPens, clearly prescribed, clearly his. Then why didn't you use one? I ask, though I already know the answer. Already see it in the dawning horror in his eyes. I told them, he says, each word an effort. Told the event coordinator. No shellfish. Severe allergy. They knew. The words hang in the air between us, heavy with implication. Someone knew about his allergy. Someone served him shellfish anyway. Someone wanted him to go into anaphylactic shock. Someone assumed he'd have his EpiPen and would survive, or someone hoped he wouldn't make it to medical help in time. This wasn't an accident. This was attempted murder. I look up at the bodyguard, whose face has gone pale with the same realization. The other guests are starting to gather now, murmurs spreading through the crowd. Mrs. Chun pushes through, her expression panicked. Call 911. I order her. Tell them anaphylaxis. Patient received epinephrine. Stable but needs transport. She nods, already dialing. I turn back to Castellano, whose breathing is steadier now, but whose eyes are locked on mine with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. You saved my life, he says, his voice still rough but stronger. I'm a nurse, I reply, as if that explains everything. It's what I do. What's your name? Maya Torres. Something flickers in his eyes. Recognition? Assessment? I can't read it. Maya Torres, he repeats, as if committing it to memory. You're going to need protection. The words don't make sense. What? He struggles to sit up straighter, waving off his bodyguard's attempt to help. His eyes never leave mine. You saw what happened. You know it wasn't an accident. He swallows hard. Whoever did this, whoever tried to kill me, they're watching right now. And they just saw you save me. The full weight of what he's saying hits me like a physical blow. I'm not just a nurse who helps someone. I'm a witness. Worse, I'm a complication. Someone tried to murder Dominic Castellano tonight, and I interfered. I kept him alive. I'm nobody, I whisper, but even as I say it, I know it doesn't matter. I'm just. You're the reason I'm still breathing, he cuts in. His hand, steadier now, grabs my wrist. Not rough, but firm. Desperate, which means you're in danger. Do you understand? I do. God help me, I do. Sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. The crowd has pressed in, a circle of curious, horrified faces. Mrs. Chin is trying to manage the situation, her voice high and stressed. The bodyguards have formed a protective barrier around Castellano, and I realize with a jolt, around me too. I have to go, I say, trying to pull away, my mind racing. I need to get out of here, back to my apartment, back to my normal life. This isn't my world. These aren't my problems. But Castellano's grip tightens. You can't. His voice is stronger now, more commanding. Not until we figure out who did this. Not until I can ensure your safety. I don't need. Yes, he interrupts, his eyes boring into mine. You do. You just don't know it yet. The paramedics burst through the ballroom doors, equipment in hand. I give them a rapid report. Severe anaphylaxis, shellfish exposure, 0.3 milligrams epinephrine administered intramuscularly approximately 4 minutes ago. Patient's airway is patent, breathing improved, but needs hospital evaluation and monitoring. They're efficient, professional. They get Castellano on a gurney, attach monitors, start in 4. Through it all, his eyes stay on me. As they wheel him toward the door, he speaks to one of his bodyguards, low and urgent. The man nods, then turns to me. Miss Torres, he says, his voice polite but leaving no room for argument. Mr. Castellano has requested that you accompany him to the hospital. I can't, I protest. I'm working. I have responsibilities here. Mrs. Chun has been informed, the bodyguard says smoothly. Your services tonight are complete. She's been compensated for the full amount. I look at Mrs. Chun, who won't meet my eyes, her phone pressed to her ear as she speaks rapidly to someone. The other bodyguard is already at my medical station, collecting my bag, my jacket. This is insane. I should refuse. I should walk out of here, go home, forget this ever happened. But Castellano's words echo in my mind. You're in danger. Whoever did this is watching. I look toward the buffet table where the waiter still stands, pale and shaking. I look at the faces in the crowd, any one of whom could be responsible. And I realize that Dominic Castellano is right. I'm not invisible anymore. I'm a complication. A witness. A problem that needs to be solved. The bodyguard offers his arm, a gesture that's somehow both courteous and coercive. Please, Miss Torres, it would be safer if you came with us. I take his arm because what choice do I have? Because my instincts, honed in the ER, are screaming that staying here, going home alone, would be the most dangerous thing I could do. The ride to the hospital happens in a blur. I'm in the ambulance with Castellano, the paramedics, and one bodyguard who barely fits in the cramped space. The other bodyguard follows in a black SUV that appeared from nowhere. Castellano's vitals are stabilizing. The epinephrine did its job, but protocol requires hospital observation, especially for someone who had such a severe reaction. The paramedics are professional, but I can see the questions in their eyes. They know who he is. Everyone in New York knows who the Castellanos are, even if they don't know exactly what they do. "You were smart to act so fast," one of the paramedics says to me. "Another minute, and we'd be intubating him in the field. Maybe coding him." I nod, my hands trembling now that the adrenaline is fading. The full reality of what just happened is settling over me like a weighted blanket. I saved a man's life, a powerful, dangerous man. And in doing so, I painted a target on my own back. Castellano's hand finds mine in the cramped space. His grip is warm, strong, anchored. "You're shaking," he observes, his voice still rough but clearer. "Adrenaline crash, I manage. Happens after emergencies. Is that all it is?" I meet his eyes, these dark, knowing eyes that see too much. "No," I admit quietly. "I'm scared." "Good," he says, surprising me. "Fear will keep you sharp, keep you careful." He squeezes my hand. "But I won't let anything happen to you, Maya Torres. That's a promise." I should laugh at the presumption. This man doesn't know me. Doesn't know me anything beyond perhaps a thank you in payment for medical services rendered. But there's something in his voice, in the way he looks at me, that makes me believe him. The hospital is chaos, as hospitals always are on a Saturday night. But the moment we arrive, everything changes. The staff knows who Castellano is. Within minutes, he's in a private room, attended by doctors who treat him with a deference that goes beyond standard patient care. I try to slip away, to fade back into invisibility, but the bodyguard is there, polite but immovable. "Mr. Castellano would like you to stay until the doctors clear him." So I stay. I sit in an uncomfortable chair in the corner of the private room while doctors examine him, run tests, administer additional medications. Through it all, Castellano keeps glancing at me, as if checking that I haven't disappeared. Finally, around midnight, the attending physician clears him. "You're stable," the doctor says, "but you need to stay away from Shellfish, obviously, and carry your EpiPen at all times. If you hadn't received epinephrine when you did..." He trails off, the implication clear. "I'm aware," Castellano says, his voice dry. "Thank you, doctor." When we're alone as we can be with a bodyguard stationed at the door, Castellano sits up in the hospital bed, his bow tie gone, his tuxedo shirt unbuttoned at the collar. Even disheveled, even after nearly dying, he radiates authority. "You should go home," he says, but his tone suggests he doesn't really mean it. "You said I was in danger," I remind him, my exhaustion making me blunt. "Has that changed in the last 3 hours?" A ghost of a smile touches his lips. "No, it hasn't." "Then what do you want me to do?" He studies me for a long moment. "I want you to let me protect you. Tonight, tomorrow, however long it takes to find out who did this and neutralize the threat." "Neutralize," I repeat. The word is clinical, euphemistic. I know what it really means. Yes, I should be horrified. I should run. But I'm too tired, too scared, and too practical. Someone tried to kill this man tonight. They failed because of me. And people who fail at murder don't usually just shrug and move on. "I have a shift at Bellevue in 6 hours, I say instead. "I can't just disappear from my life." "You can," he counters. "And you will. Temporarily." He leans forward, his eyes intense. "I'll compensate you. Whatever your salary is, I'll triple it. Your mother's medical bills, I'll cover them. Your student loans, consider them paid." I stare at him. "You investigated me already?" "Of course I did." There's no apology in his voice. "The moment my team told me your name, I had someone look into you. Maya Torres, 28, ER nurse at Bellevue, graduated Columbia School of Nursing, works private medical gigs on the side. Lives alone in Queens. Mother in physical therapy after a car accident 6 months ago. 43,000 in student loan debt." He pauses. "No close relationships. No boyfriend. Few friends. Your whole life is work and taking care of others." The accuracy of it, the invasion of it, should anger me. Instead, I feel strangely exposed, seen in a way I haven't been in years. "Why do you care?" I whisper. "You could hire professional security, professional investigators. Why does it matter if I'm safe?" His expression softens, just slightly. "Because you saved my life without hesitation. Because you're competent and brave, and you didn't ask for any of this. He pauses. And because something tells me you're going to be important to me, Maya Torres. I don't know how yet, but I know it's true. The words settle between us, heavy with implication, with possibility, with danger. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A text from Mrs. Chun. Heard you went to hospital with Mr. Castellano. Your payment for tonight has been wired plus a substantial bonus. Thank you for your quick action. I should say no. I should walk out of this hospital, go home, and pretend tonight never happened. But Castellano is right. Someone tried to kill him. Someone who knew his allergy, who had access to the event, who was willing to murder him in front of hundreds of witnesses because they thought it would look like a tragic accident. And I'm the nurse who saved him. The witness who can testify it wasn't an accident. The complication they didn't plan for. Okay, I say finally, my voice barely audible. Okay, I'll let you protect me. For now. The relief in his eyes is unmistakable. Thank you. But I have conditions. I continue, finding my courage. I need to call my mom, tell her I'm okay. I need to call Bellevue, arrange emergency leave. And I need to understand what I'm getting into. Who you really are. What this is really about. He nods slowly. Agreed. All of it. He gestures to the door. Marco will take you to a secure location. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we talk. Tomorrow you get answers. The bodyguard, Marco, appears as if summoned. Miss Torres, the car is ready. I stand on shaky legs, my medical bag still clutched in my hand like a talisman. At the door, I pause and look back at Dominic Castellano, this powerful man who nearly died tonight, whose life I saved with a plastic injector and 10 seconds of pressure. Dominic, I say, using his first name for the first time. Who do you think did this? His eyes darken. Someone close. Someone who knew. Someone who thought they could take what I've built. He meets my gaze. Someone who's about to learn they made a fatal mistake. The words should terrify me. Instead, they send a strange thrill down my spine. I've stepped out of my small, safe world into something dangerous, something deadly. And God help me, part of me doesn't want to go back. The car is not a car. It's a fortress on wheels. Black, armored, with windows so heavily tinted I can barely see out. Marco sits in front with the driver, both men silent, their eyes constantly scanning the streets as we navigate through Manhattan at 1 a.m. I clutch my phone, having made the necessary calls. My mom, confused but accepting when I told her I had an emergency work opportunity that required me to be unavailable for a few days. Bellevue's charge nurse, less accepting but ultimately agreeing to emergency personal leave when I cited family crisis and promised to follow up with documentation. The lies taste bitter on my tongue. But what's the truth? That I saved a powerful man's life, and now I'm in protective custody because someone wants him dead and I'm a witness? That sounds insane even in my own head. We leave Manhattan, crossing into New Jersey, then winding through increasingly isolated roads. My exhaustion makes everything feel surreal, dreamlike. The GPS on my phone stopped working 20 minutes ago, either from poor signal or something more deliberate. Where are we going? I ask finally, my voice small in the leather-scented interior. Mr. Castellano's private residence. Marco replies without turning around. Secure. Off the grid. Safe. Off the grid. The phrase sends a chill through me. How far off the grid? How isolated? I'm trusting my safety to people I don't know, following orders from a man I met 4 hours ago while he was dying. The house, when we finally arrive, takes my breath away. It's not a house. It's an estate. Stone and glass and security that's visible even in the darkness. Cameras, motion sensors, a gate that requires biometric scanning. The property sprawls across what must be acres, surrounded by woods, isolated from everything. Marco opens my door, his bulk somehow reassuring in the darkness. This way, Miss Torres. Inside, the house is all modern luxury. Soaring ceilings, minimalist furniture, artwork that probably costs more than my annual salary. But it's the security that catches my attention. Panic buttons on the walls, cameras in corners, reinforced doors. This isn't just a home. It's a fortress. A woman appears, middle-aged, kind-faced, wearing casual clothes despite the late hour. Miss Torres, she says with a warm smile. I'm Elena. I manage Mr. Castellano's household. You must be exhausted. Let me show you to your room. I follow her up a floating staircase to the second floor, down a hallway lined with abstract paintings, to a bedroom that's larger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook dark woods, a king-size bed with hotel-quality linens, an ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub and a shower that could fit 4 people. There are clothes in the closet, Elena says, gesturing. Mr. Castellano had me arrange some things in your size. Toiletries in the bathroom. If you need anything at all, just press the button by the bed and someone will come immediately. She leaves me alone in this beautiful cage. I stand in the center of the room, my medical bag still in my hand, trying to process everything. 12 hours ago, I was standing in my apartment, eating instant ramen, worried about my electric bill. Now I'm in a mansion in the woods, under the protection of a man who may or may not be involved in organized crime. I should be terrified. I am terrified, but underneath the fear is something else. Curiosity, interest, the memory of Dominic Castellano's eyes on mine, intense and assessing and somehow hungry. I shower because I smell like hospital and fierce sweat and expensive perfume from the event. The water is hot, the pressure perfect, and I stand under it until my skin is pink and wrinkled. In the closet, I find clothes in exactly my size. Jeans, sweaters, underwear still in packaging, pajamas that are softer than anything I've ever owned. How did he get my size so accurately? The background check, I realize. He probably has my entire medical file, knows my measurements better than I do. I should be angry about the invasion of privacy. Instead, I'm too tired to feel anything but numb acceptance. I fall into the enormous bed in silk pajamas that feel like wearing clouds. The sheets are Egyptian cotton, the pillows perfectly firm. I should stay awake, should plan, should think. Instead, I'm asleep within minutes, my exhausted body overriding my racing mind. I dream of drowning in champagne while someone watches and does nothing. Light streaming through the windows wakes me. For a disorienting moment, I don't know where I am. Then memory crashes back. The event, the anaphylaxis, Dominic Castellano's hand gripping mine in the ambulance, the promise of protection and danger intertwined. My phone shows 11:34 a.m. I slept for almost 10 hours, longer than I have in months. There's a text from an unknown number. Breakfast is available whenever you're ready. Take your time. D. Dominic. He's here, somewhere in this house. I dress in jeans and a soft gray sweater from the closet, both fitting perfectly. In the bathroom, there are high-end skincare products, makeup, a hairdryer. Someone has thought of everything. Downstairs, I follow the smell of coffee and food to a massive kitchen with commercial-grade appliances and a breakfast spread that could feed 20 people. Fresh fruit, pastries, eggs, bacon, pancakes. Elena is there, pouring coffee into a delicate cup. "Good morning, Miss Torres," she says cheerfully. "I hope you slept well. What can I get you?" "Just coffee," I say, though my stomach growls at the sight of food. "And please call me Maya." She smiles and hands me the cup, then loads a plate with food despite my protests. "You need to eat. Mr. Castellano's orders." I take the plate to a breakfast nook with views of the woods. The property is even more stunning in daylight. Trees in fall colors, a pond in the distance, perfectly manicured grounds. It's beautiful and isolated and utterly removed from my reality. Beautiful, isn't it? I turn to find Dominic Castellano standing in the doorway. He's dressed casually, dark jeans, a black sweater that emphasizes his broad shoulders. His hair is slightly damp, as if he recently showered. There's a small bruise on his neck from where the four was placed, but otherwise, he looks completely recovered from last night's brush with death. "It's incredible," I admit, gesturing to the view. "How much land?" 40 acres. He pours himself coffee, joins me at the table. "I bought it 5 years ago. Needed somewhere away from the city. Somewhere secure. Somewhere people can't try to kill you," I say bluntly. His lips quirk in what might be amusement. "That too." We sit in silence for a moment, the only sound my fork against the plate as I eat food that tastes like it came from a 5-star restaurant. He watches me, his dark eyes assessing, calculating something I can't read. "How are you feeling?" I ask finally, slipping into nurse mode. "Any residual symptoms? Difficulty breathing? Swelling?" "I'm fine. Thanks to you. He leans back in his chair. The doctor said another minute or two, and I would have been in respiratory arrest. You would have survived, I say, though we both know it's not guaranteed. But it would have been close. Maya. He says my name like he's tasting it, testing how it feels. We need to talk. About last night. About what happens next. I set down my fork, my appetite suddenly gone. Okay. He pulls out a tablet, swipes through something, then turns it to face me. Security footage from the event. I watch myself cross the ballroom, see the moment Castellano takes the hors d'oeuvre, see his reaction, see myself move. The footage is from multiple angles, crystal clear. This is from my security team, he explains. They had cameras throughout the event as a precaution. Watch this part. He zooms in on the waiter who served the tray. The man is young, early 20s, nervous. He approaches Castellano's table with the tray, but before he does, someone bumps into him. A woman in a red dress, her back to the camera. The bump seems accidental, but in slow motion, I can see her hand move to the tray, see her place something on it. An additional hors d'oeuvre. The crab cake. She planted it. I breathe. She knew he'd take one. She knew I always take one item from past trays, Dominic confirms grimly. It's a habit, one my inner circle knows about. He swipes to another image. A still frame of the woman's face as she turns slightly. She's beautiful, mid-30s, with dark hair and elegant features. There's something calculated in her expression. Who is she? Gabriella Rossi, daughter of Marco Rossi, one of my business partners. His voice is flat, emotionless, but I can see the betrayal in his eyes. I've known her since she was a teenager. Her father and I have worked together for 15 years. The implications hit me like a physical blow. This was internal. Someone you trusted? Yes. The single word carries the weight of a death sentence. What are you going to do? His eyes meet mine, dark and utterly cold. What needs to be done? I should be horrified. Should argue for calling the police, for due process, for justice through proper channels. But I'm not naive. I know who Dominic Castellano is, what he does. The police are not an option for men like him. Why did she do it? I ask instead. Why try to kill you? He swipes to another screen. Financial documents, spreadsheets, emails. Her father wants out of our partnership, wants to take his territory and resources and align with the Morettis, a rival family. But our partnership agreement has specific clauses. If I die, my shares revert to my partners, not my heir. Marco would get 40% of everything I've built. So killing you was a business decision, I say, my voice hollow. Business and revenge, he clarifies. I blocked a merger he wanted last year. Cost him millions. This would recoup his losses and give him control. I push my plate away, suddenly nauseous. And Gabriella was willing to murder you for her father? Family loyalty, he says simply, as if that explains everything. Perhaps in his world it does. What about my family loyalty? I ask, anger suddenly flaring. I'm sitting here instead of with my mother because you said I was in danger. Was that true? Or was it just a convenient way to keep me close, to keep me from talking? His expression hardens. It was true. It is true. He swipes again, shows me another image. My apartment building, photographed from across the street. Timestamp. 4:37 a.m. this morning. My blood runs cold. Someone was watching my apartment. 2 men, he confirms. Rossi's people. They arrived an hour after we left the hospital. They're watching for you, Maya. Waiting for you to come home. The reality of it crashes over me. I'm not just a witness. I'm a target. Someone wants to ensure I don't talk about what I saw, what I know. Oh, God! I whisper, my hand shaking. Oh, God, I can't go home. I can't. You're safe here, Dominic says, his voice gentler now. He reaches across the table, takes my trembling hand in his. I won't let them hurt you. That's a promise, Maya. A promise from a man I don't even know, I say, but I don't pull my hand away. His grip is warm, solid, anchoring. Then get to know me. His thumb strokes across my knuckles, the gesture surprisingly tender. Stay here. Let me protect you. Let me. He trails off, but the unspoken words hang between us. Let me what? Keep me? Own me? Something else entirely? For how long? I ask. How long until I can go back to my life? His eyes are sad. Maya, you need to understand something. After last night, after what you saw and what you did, there is no going back to your life. Not the way it was. The words are like a punch to the gut. No, I'm a nurse. I have a job, responsibilities, a mother who needs me. And all of that will be taken care of, he interrupts. Your mother will have the best care available. Your job at Bellevue can be held, or you can take a permanent leave with compensation. Your debts will be erased. You'll want for nothing. Except my freedom, I say bitterly. Except the illusion of freedom you had before, he counters. Working 2 jobs to barely survive. Drowning in debt. Is that what you want to go back to? I hate that he's right. I hate that part of me, a shameful, secret part, doesn't want to go back to that struggle. What do you want from me? I ask, my voice small. Really? He's quiet for a long moment, his eyes never leaving mine. I don't know yet, he admits. But I know I want you safe. I know I want you here, where I can protect you. And I know that when I look at you, I feel something I haven't felt in a very long time. What's that? Gratitude, respect, interest. He pauses. Desire. The last word sends heat pooling in my stomach. I should shut this down, should maintain professional distance. But my body responds to the intensity in his eyes, to the way he looks at me like I'm something precious and dangerous all at once. I need time, I say finally. Time to think. Time to understand what I'm agreeing to. You have time, he says. All the time you need. But Maya, understand that while you're thinking, Rossi's people are looking for you. While you're safe here, your mother is vulnerable. Your friends, your coworkers, anyone connected to you becomes a potential target. The manipulation is blatant, but it's also true. I can see it in his eyes. He's not lying or exaggerating to control me. He's stating facts. What do you suggest? I ask, hating how defeated I sound. Let me move your mother to a secure facility. Private care, excellent doctors, round-the-clock security. Let me inform Bellevue that you're taking an extended leave for family reasons. Let me handle the logistics of your life so you can focus on staying alive. It's too much. Too fast. But what choice do I have? Okay, I whisper. Okay, do it. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The next 3 days pass in a strange limbo. Dominic is true to his word. My mother is moved to a private rehabilitation facility in Westchester with security that rivals the president's. When I call her, she's overwhelmed by the care, by the quality of the facility, by the personal attention she's receiving. Maya, how did you afford this? She asks, her voice thick with emotion. I got a bonus from the event. I lie smoothly, hating myself for it. And they offered me a consultant position. Better pay, better benefits. My brilliant daughter, she says, pride evident in her voice. I'm so proud of you. The guilt eats at me. She's proud of a lie. Proud of her daughter who's essentially in hiding under the protection of a dangerous man. At the estate, I settle into an uncomfortable routine. Breakfast with Dominic, where we talk about everything except the situation we're in. My childhood in the Bronx, his complicated relationship with his father, my nursing school horror stories, his first business acquisition. The conversations flow easily, naturally, as if we're normal people in normal circumstances. Then he disappears into his office for hours, taking calls in Italian and Russian and languages I don't recognize, conducting business that I'm not privy to. I wander the house, explore the grounds with Marco shadowing me at a discreet distance, read in the expansive library, swim in the indoor pool. It's the most relaxed I've been in years, and I hate myself for enjoying it. On the 3rd night, Dominic finds me in the library, curled in an oversized chair with a medical journal. He's dressed for business, dark suit, crisp shirt, his hair styled back. He looks like he's about to attend a board meeting or commit murder. With him, it's hard to tell the difference. I'm leaving for a meeting, he says. I'll be back late. Marco will be here if you need anything. What kind of meeting? I ask, though I know he won't tell me. The kind that ensures your continued safety. His eyes are hard. The kind that deals with problems permanently. Gabriella. He's going to deal with Gabriella and her father. Don't, I say, surprising myself. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. Something like respect flickers in his eyes. You're smart, Maya. Smarter than you let people see. I'm a nurse, I reply. I'm trained to see things, to notice patterns, to assess situations quickly. And I can assess this one just fine. He crosses to me, crouches beside my chair so we're eye level. Up close, I can see the faint scar on his jaw, the flecks of silver in his dark hair, the way his eyes soften when he looks at me. What do you assess? He asks quietly. That you're dangerous. That you're going to hurt people tonight, maybe kill them. That you're doing it because it's the only way you know how to solve problems. I swallow hard, and that despite all that I don't hate you, which scares me more than anything. His hand comes up to cut my cheek, his thumb brushing across my cheekbone. You should hate me, he murmurs. You should be demanding I let you go, that I find another way. You should be horrified by what I am. I know, I whisper. But I'm not. The admission hangs between us, heavy with implication. He leans in, slowly, giving me time to pull away. I don't. His lips brush mine, gentle despite the violence I know he's capable of. The kiss is brief, questioning, and when he pulls back, his eyes search mine. When I come back, he says softly, we need to talk about what this is, what we're becoming. Then he's gone, leaving me trembling in the chair, my lips burning from his kiss, my mind reeling from the realization that I'm falling for a man who's about to commit murder. I don't sleep that night. I pace my room, then the hallways, then end up in the kitchen where Elena is still up, preparing something that smells amazing. Can't sleep, she asks kindly. Too much on my mind. I lean against the counter. How long have you worked for him? 12 years, she says, stirring something on the stove. Since my husband died and I needed work. Mr. Castellano hired me when no one else would. Why wouldn't they? She's quiet for a moment. My husband worked for Mr. Castellano's father. When he died in the line of duty, other families blacklisted me. Guilt by association, I suppose. But Dominic took care of us, me and my daughter. Paid for her education, gave me meaningful work, treated us like family. Sounds like you're loyal to him. I am, she says simply. Because he's earned it. Because underneath the hard exterior, he's a good man who does what he needs to do to protect his people. Even if that means... Especially if it means that, she interrupts gently. In this world, Maya, you protect your own or you lose them. There's no middle ground. I want to argue, want to insist there's another way. But the faces of those men watching my apartment flash in my mind. The calculated malice in Gabriella's expression as she planted that poisoned hors d'oeuvre. The reality that in Dominic's world, mercy is a luxury that gets people killed. It's nearly 3 a.m. when I hear the front door open. I'm back in my room, sitting by the window watching the woods. Heavy footsteps in the hallway. A knock on my door. Come in. I call, my heart racing. Dominic enters, and I gasp. His suit is rumpled, his knuckles bloody and bruised. There's a cut above his eyebrow, dried blood trailing down his temple. But his eyes are clear, focused, intense. Is it done? I ask. It's done. He leans against the doorframe, suddenly looking exhausted. You're safe now. They won't come for you. I should ask what he did, how he did it. Instead, I cross to him, take his damaged hands in mine, examine the wounds with clinical efficiency. You need these cleaned. Maya, sit, I order, pointing to the chair by the window. I'm a nurse, remember? Let me do my job. He sits, watching me as I disappear into the bathroom, return with a first aid kit. I work in silence, cleaning the blood from his knuckles, disinfecting the cuts, bandaging where necessary. My hands are steady, professional, but inside I'm trembling. This man killed for me tonight, or had someone killed. Either way, blood was spilled to ensure my safety. The cut on your forehead, I murmur, tilting his face toward the light. It needs cleaning, too. He lets me work, his eyes never leaving my face. When I press the antiseptic-soaked gauze to the wound, he doesn't even flinch. Does it hurt? I ask quietly. I've had worse. I finish treating the cut, apply a small butterfly bandage. Then I just stand there, between his legs, my hands resting lightly on his shoulders, his hands finding my waist. Thank you, he says. For not asking questions. For not judging. I'm judging, I admit. I'm just not sure what my verdict is yet. His hands tighten on my waist. And when you decide, I'll let you know. We stay like that, frozen in the moment, the space between us charged with possibility and danger and something that feels dangerously like belonging. Then his phone buzzes, shattering the spell. He checks it, his expression darkening. What? I ask, fear spiking through me. What's wrong? He looks up at me, his eyes hard. Marco Rossi escaped. My people had him, but he got away. He stands, his hand still on my waist. Which means this isn't over. Which means you're still in danger. The words hit me like ice water. After everything, after the violence and the risk, we're back where we started. What do we do? I whisper. His eyes bore into mine. We disappear. Tomorrow. There's a safe house in Vermont, completely off the grid. We go there until this is finished. For how long? However long it takes. He pulls me closer, his forehead resting against mine. I'm sorry, Maya. I thought this would be over tonight. I thought. It's okay, I interrupt, surprised to find I mean it. We'll figure it out. But even as I say the words, I can feel the walls closing in. Running to Vermont. Hiding from a man who wants revenge. Living in limbo with a dangerous man I'm starting to have dangerous feelings for. My normal life is gone. The question is whether I'll survive long enough to build a new one. Vermont in October is a postcard come to life. Trees ablaze with color, crisp air that smells like wood smoke and pine, mountains rolling into the distance like frozen waves. The safe house is a cabin, though calling it a cabin is like calling the Mona Lisa a painting. Stone and timber and glass, perched on a hillside with views that steal breath, surrounded by 50 acres of forest. No neighbors, no witnesses, no escape routes except the ones Dominic has carefully planned. We arrive at dawn after driving through the night, switching vehicles twice, taking routes that double back on themselves in dizzying patterns. Marco sits in front with the driver, both men alert despite the long journey. In back, Dominic and I sit in silence, his hand holding mine, his thumb tracing absent patterns on my palm. I haven't been back to my apartment, haven't seen my mother in person, only on video calls where I lie about my location, my situation, my safety. The guilt is a constant weight in my chest, but less than the fear of what would happen if Marco Rossi found me. Almost there, Dominic murmurs as we turn onto an unmarked dirt road that winds up into the mountains. The cabin appears gradually through the trees. Solar panels on the roof, security cameras hidden in the eaves, reinforced doors that look decorative but I know are anything but. Inside, it's warm and welcoming despite the fortress-like security. Wood floors, a massive stone fireplace, furniture that's both comfortable and expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the view, but I notice they're bulletproof glass, thick enough to stop anything short of military-grade weapons. Home for the foreseeable future, Dominic says, watching my face as I take it in. Marco does a sweep of the property while the driver unloads our bags. Dominic shows me around. The master suite with its own fireplace and balcony, the kitchen stocked with enough food for a month, the basement that's been converted into a command center with computers, communications equipment, and an armory that makes my stomach clench. How long have you had this place? I ask, running my fingers along the granite countertop in the kitchen. 3 years. Built it as a contingency. He leans against the counter, his eyes on me. Never thought I'd actually need to use it. The implication hangs between us. He built this place to hide, to survive, to wait out threats to his life. And now I'm here with him, sharing his exile. I'm sorry, I say quietly, that saving my life has complicated yours so much. He crosses to me in 2 strides, his hands framing my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. Don't apologize for being brave, for being skilled, for doing your job. His thumbs brush my cheekbones. If anything, I'm grateful. Grateful that someone tried to kill you. A ghost of a smile. Grateful that it brought you into my life. He kisses me then, not gentle like the first time, but hungry, desperate, as if he's been holding back for days and can't anymore. I respond without thinking, my arms wrapping around his neck, my body pressing against his. The kiss deepens, his hands sliding down my back, my fingers tangling in his hair. When we break apart, both breathing hard, his eyes are dark with want. We should unpack, he says, his voice rough. Get settled. We should. I agree, but neither of us moves. Maya. My name is a question and a statement and a plea all at once. I know, I whisper. I know. What I know is that this thing between us is inevitable. That from the moment I drove that EpiPen into his thigh, we were bound together by something more than circumstance. That every conversation, every shared glance, every moment of his careful protection has been leading to this. But before anything can happen, Marco appears in the doorway, his expression grim. We have a problem. Dominic's demeanor shifts instantly from desire to command. What kind of problem? Rossi knows we're in Vermont. I don't know how, but he knows. My contacts just confirmed he crossed the state line 2 hours ago with at least 6 men. The color drains from my face. How? We were so careful. Someone talked, Dominic says, his voice cold as winter. Someone in my organization. He turns to Marco. Secure the perimeter. I want every approach monitored. And find out who leaked our location. Marco nods and disappears. Dominic is already moving, pulling out his phone, making calls in rapid succession. I stand frozen in the kitchen, watching this man I've been growing closer to transform into someone else. Someone harder. Someone capable of the violence I've been trying not to think about. How much time do we have? I ask when he ends his final call. If he left Boston 2 hours ago, and if he knows exactly where we are? He checks his watch. 3, maybe 4 hours. 3 hours until armed men arrive to kill us. The reality of it makes my knees weak. I sink into a chair, trying to breathe through the panic. Dominic kneels in front of me, his hands on my thighs, his eyes fierce. Listen to me. I have people coming. Reinforcements. They'll be here in 90 minutes. We just need to hold until then. Hold. I laugh, the sound slightly hysterical. I'm a nurse, Dominic. I don't know how to hold against armed men. You know how to follow instructions. You know how to stay calm in emergencies. You know how to survive. His grip tightens. That's all you need to know. He pulls me to my feet, leads me to the basement command center. The armory section makes my stomach turn. Rifles, handguns, ammunition in neat rows. He selects a small pistol, checks it with practiced efficiency, then holds it out to me. I can't, I say, backing away. I can't shoot someone. You won't have to, he says firmly. This is just in case. Just back up. But I need you to know how it works. He spends the next 15 minutes teaching me the basics. Safety on, safety off. How to aim. How to brace for recoil. How to breathe and squeeze the trigger rather than pull. His patience is infinite despite the ticking clock, despite the danger bearing down on us. You're a natural, he says when I hit the target in the basement shooting range 3 times in a row. I'm terrified, I correct. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. He takes the gun, checks it again, then holsters it at the small of his back. Come on. Marco has the surveillance feeds up. Upstairs, Marco has transformed the living room into a command post. Laptop screens show camera feeds from every angle around the property. The long driveway, the tree line, the approach roads. Everything is quiet, peaceful, the fall foliage brilliant in the afternoon sun. It's hard to believe that in a few hours, this peace will be shattered by violence. Reinforcements, ETA? Dominic asks. 75 minutes, Marco replies. 6 men, heavily armed. They're coming in 2 helicopters. And Rossi! Marco points to one screen, showing a traffic camera on a highway. Last confirmed sighting 40 minutes ago. Still heading this way. Dominic nods, his jaw tight. He's calculating, planning, assessing every variable. This is what he does, I realize. This is who he is underneath the expensive suits and culture conversation. A strategist. A warrior. A man who has survived in a world where weakness means death. Maya. He turns to me. I need you to go to the master bedroom. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me or Marco. If things go wrong, if someone breaches the house, there's a panic room in the closet. Hidden door behind the shoe rack. It's stocked with supplies, has its own ventilation, its own communications. You can survive there for days if necessary. No, I say, surprising myself with the strength in my voice. No, I'm not hiding while you fight. Maya, I'm not a damsel in distress, Dominic. I'm a trauma nurse. I've dealt with gunshot wounds, stab wounds, every kind of injury you can imagine. I stepped closer to him. If there's fighting, you're going to need medical support, and I'm not letting you do this alone. He stares at me, conflict warring in his eyes. Then, slowly, he nods. Stay in the command center. Monitor the feeds. If anyone gets hurt, you treat them. But if I tell you to run, you run. Understood. Understood. The next hour passes in tense silence. We watch the screens, monitoring every approach. Dominic and Marco check weapons, discuss defensive positions, review contingency plans. I organize medical supplies from the basement's first aid station, tourniquets, bandages, antibiotics, sutures, everything I might need. My hands are steady as I work, muscle memory from years of ER nursing overriding my fear. This is what I do. I save lives, even if those lives belong to dangerous men fighting other dangerous men. The reinforcements arrive exactly on time. 2 helicopters that land in a clearing half a mile from the cabin. 6 men emerge, all armed, all moving with military precision. They reach the cabin and immediately begin setting up defensive positions. Dominic greets them with terse efficiency, deploying them to cover every approach. "Thank you for coming," he says to a tall man with graying hair who seems to be the leader. "You saved my brother's life 5 years ago," the man replies in accented English. "This debt is nothing compared to that." More pieces of the puzzle that is Dominic Castellano click into place. A man who inspires loyalty not just through fear, but through genuine bonds forged in blood and sacrifice. Then Marco's voice cuts through the preparations. Movement on the north approach. 3 vehicles. Everyone moves. Dominic pulls me behind the kitchen counter, which I notice is reinforced concrete disguised as granite. Marco positions himself by a window with a rifle. The reinforcements take up their assigned positions. On the screens, I watch 3 black SUVs wind up the mountain road. They don't try to hide, don't attempt stealth. They're announcing their arrival, confident in their numbers and their purpose. The SUVs stop at the base of the driveway, just out of rifle range. Doors open. Men emerge. I count 9, all armed with military-grade weapons. And there, stepping from the middle vehicle, is Marco Rossi. Even through the grainy security footage, I can see the rage in his posture, the determination in every movement. This is a man who has lost everything: his daughter, his business partnerships, his reputation. A man with nothing left to lose. A man who wants revenge. Dominic's phone rings. He answers, putting it on speaker. Marco Rossi's voice fills the room, thick with Italian accent and barely contained fury. "Castellano, I know you're in there. I know you have the girl who saved your worthless life." "Marco," Dominic replies, his voice calm. "This doesn't have to end badly. Walk away. Take your men and go. I'll give you 24 hours before I come for you." Rossi laughs, the sound bitter and broken. "Walk away. You killed my daughter. You destroyed my business. You took everything from me. And you want me to walk away? Your daughter tried to murder me," Dominic says, his voice hardening. "She made her choice. The consequences were hers to bear. She was following my orders." Rossi screams, "I'm the one you should have killed. But you're a coward, Castellano. You hide behind your men, behind your money, behind that whore of a nurse." Dominic's hand tightens on the phone, his jaw clenching. I reach out, touch his arm, a silent reminder that words are just words. "Last chance, Marco," Dominic says. "Leave now. Live to fight another day. Or stay and die on this mountain." "I'm already dead," Rossi replies, his voice suddenly tired. "My daughter is gone. My reputation is destroyed. My partners have abandoned me. What do I have left except revenge?" The line goes dead. For a moment, there's absolute silence in the cabin. Then Dominic turns to his men. "They're coming. Hold the perimeter. Non-lethal if possible, but don't hesitate if they push. I want Rossi alive if we can manage it." "Why alive?" I ask quietly. He looks at me, his eyes hard. "Because I want him to answer for what he's done. Because I want him to see that he failed. Because—" He stops, his expression softening slightly. "Because you're right. I'm not just a killer. And I don't want you to see me as one." The admission is raw, vulnerable, utterly unexpected. Before I can respond, the shooting starts. It's not like in movies. It's louder, more chaotic, more terrifying. The windows, despite being bulletproof, spiderweb with impacts. Dominic pushes me down behind the counter, his body covering mine. Above us, I can hear the sharp crack of return fire from his men. The assault is focused, professional. Rossi's men know what they're doing. They advance in coordinated teams, using covering fire, moving from tree to tree toward the cabin. But Dominic's men are better. They hold the defensive positions, picking off attackers with precision shots. Through the chaos, I hear Marco calling out positions, coordinating the defense. The cabin is a fortress, and every approach is covered. The firefight lasts maybe 5 minutes, though it feels like hours. Then, suddenly, silence. Marco's voice. 3 down. For retreating. Rossi is advancing alone. Dominic rises, helps me up. On the security feeds, I see the impossible. Marco Rossi is walking up the driveway, alone, weaponless, his hands raised in the air. It's a trap, Marco says. No, Dominic replies quietly. It's a suicide mission. He moves toward the front door. I grab his arm. Don't. Let your men handle it. I can't. He looks at me, and I see the weight of his world in his eyes. He came for me. This ends between us, not with bullets from a distance. Before I can argue, he's gone, slipping out a side door with Marco following at a distance, rifle ready. I watch on the screens as Dominic emerges from the cabin, his own weapon holstered, his hands visible. He walks down the driveway to meet Rossi, 2 men who were once partners, now enemies, coming together for a final reckoning. They're too far for the cameras to pick up audio, but I can see them talking. Rossi gestures wildly, his body language screaming rage and despair. Dominic stands still, listening, his posture calm but ready. Then Rossi reaches into his jacket. Everything happens in slow motion and too fast at the same time. Rossi pulls a gun. Dominic moves, faster than I thought possible, closing the distance between them. The gun goes off, the shot going wide. Dominic grapples with Rossi, the 2 men struggling for the weapon. I'm moving before I realize it, grabbing the medical bag, running for the door. One of Dominic's men tries to stop me, but I dodge past him, adrenaline overriding common sense. By the time I reach them, it's over. Dominic has Rossi pinned on the gravel driveway, the gun knocked aside. Marco is there with his rifle trained on Rossi's head. But it's Rossi's expression that stops me cold. He's crying. This dangerous man who orchestrated murder, who brought armed mercenaries to kill us, is sobbing like a child. She was all I had, he gasps. My Gabriella. My little girl. And you took her from me. Dominic's voice is surprisingly gentle. She made a choice, Marco. A choice to kill me. What was I supposed to do? Anything. Rossi screams. Anything except kill her. You could have exiled her, blacklisted her, ruined her life. But not death. Not my daughter. I see the conflict in Dominic's eyes. The understanding that in another life, in another circumstance, he might have made different choices. But in his world, betrayal has only one consequence. I'm sorry, Dominic says, and I can hear that he means it. I'm truly sorry for your loss. But I won't apologize for surviving. Then kill me, Rossi says. End this. I have nothing left. Dominic looks at him for a long moment. Then he stands, steps back, holsters his weapon. No, he says simply. You don't get the easy way out, Marco. You live. You live with what you've done, with the consequences of your choices, with the loss of your daughter and your empire. That's your punishment. Rossi stares at him in disbelief. You're letting me go. I'm letting you live, Dominic corrects. But you're done in this city, in this business. I've already seized your remaining assets, dissolved your partnerships, and made it clear to every family from here to Chicago that you're persona non grata. You have nothing. You are nothing. He pauses. But you're alive. What you do with that is up to you. It's mercy and cruelty intertwined. Rossi will survive, but he'll spend the rest of his life as a broken man. A cautionary tale, a ghost of what he once was. 2 of Dominic's men help Rossi to his feet, guide him to one of the abandoned SUVs. Within minutes, he's gone, disappearing down the mountain road with an escort to ensure he actually leaves. The others begin cleanup, removing the wounded mercenaries, securing the property, documenting everything for whatever legal or illegal purposes Dominic requires. And I stand there, medical bag in hand, staring at the man who just chose mercy over murder, who spared his enemy despite every reason to kill him. He turns to me, and I see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of decisions made, the cost of the life he leads. Why? I ask simply. He crosses to me, his hands finding my waist, pulling me close. Because you were watching. Because I wanted you to see that I can be more than what I was raised to be. Because he stops, his forehead resting against mine. Because I'm falling in love with you, Maya Torres, and I want to be the kind of man you can love back. The words steal my breath, my heart, my remaining defenses. This dangerous, complicated, impossible man loves me. And despite everything, the violence, the danger, the world I never wanted to be part of, I love him too. I already do, I whisper. God help me, I already do. He kisses me there on the gravel driveway, surrounded by the aftermath of violence, with armed men discreetly looking away, under a Vermont sky that's turning gold with sunset. It's not romantic or perfect or anything like I imagined falling in love would be. It's better. It's real. 6 months later, I stand in the kitchen of the Vermont cabin, now officially our home, making coffee in the early morning quiet. Snow covers the mountains outside, pristine and beautiful. In the bedroom, Dominic is still sleeping, one of the rare mornings when he allows himself rest. My mother lives in a beautiful assisted living facility in Connecticut, her physical therapy complete, her prognosis excellent. She knows the truth now, all of it. About Dominic, about his world, about my choice to stay. She cried when I told her, terrified for my safety. But then she met him, saw how he looks at me, saw how carefully he protects me, and she understood. He's a dangerous man, she said after their first meeting. But he's your dangerous man. And I've learned that sometimes the safest place to be is beside someone who would burn the world to keep you safe. I resigned from Bellevue officially, though the hospital administrator understood more than he said. Instead, I work as a private consultant, providing medical training to Dominic's organization, treating injuries that can't be explained in emergency rooms, using my skills in service of something larger than myself. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I've chosen. Marco Rossi disappeared after Vermont. Rumors place him in South America, in Eastern Europe and Asia. Wherever he is, he's no longer a threat. Dominic made sure of that without killing him, without becoming the monster he could have been. The Castellano organization has restructured, becoming more legitimate while maintaining the power Dominic's family built over generations. Real estate, import-export, technology investments. There's still darkness around the edges, still decisions I don't ask about, but the man I love is trying to build something better. For us. For the future we're creating together. I hear footsteps behind me, feel arms wrap around my waist, feel lips press against my neck. Good morning, Dominic murmurs against my skin. Morning, I reply, leaning back into his embrace. Coffee's almost ready. He turns me to face him, his eyes still heavy with sleep, but warm with affection. His hair is mussed, his jaw shadowed with stubble. He's wearing flannel pajama pants and nothing else, looking nothing like the dangerous crime boss and everything like the man I wake up beside every morning. I love you, he says, simple and direct, the way he says everything important. I love you too. It's been 6 months, but the words still feel new, still carry weight. We say them often because in our world, tomorrow is never guaranteed. His hand slides to my stomach, resting there with gentle possession. Have you thought more about what we discussed? I have. We've been talking about the future, about family, about children, about bringing new life into a world that's safer than it was but still dangerous. About whether I'm ready, whether we're ready. I say, covering his hand with mine. And I think I'm ready. If you are. His eyes light up, joy transforming his usually controlled features. You're sure? I'm sure. I smile, feeling the rightness of the decision settle into my bones. You saved my life that night, even though I saved yours first. You gave me a life bigger than I imagined, richer than I deserved. Now let's make something beautiful together. He kisses me, deep and hungry and full of promise. When we break apart, both breathless, he rests his forehead against mine. "I don't deserve you," he murmurs. "No," I agree, smiling. "But you're stuck with me anyway." Later, after we've made love and eaten breakfast and watched the sunrise paint the snow-covered mountains gold, I think about the journey that brought me here. A phone call about shellfish allergy, an EpiPen driven into muscle, a split-second decision to save a stranger's life. That's all it took to change everything. To go from invisible nurse, standing in corners, to the woman beside one of the most powerful men in the underworld. To go from surviving to living. To go from alone to loved. People might judge my choices. They might say I should have walked away, should have run from the danger, should have chosen safety over passion. But those people don't understand what it means to be truly seen, truly valued, truly loved by someone who would face down armies to keep you safe. I was invisible before Dominic Castellano. Now I'm essential, not as an accessory or a possession, but as a partner, an equal, someone whose opinion matters, whose strength is recognized, whose skills are valued. Yes, his world is dangerous. Yes, there are still threats, still enemies, still nights when he comes home with shadows in his eyes from things I don't ask about. But there are also mornings like this, quiet moments, soft kisses, coffee in the kitchen, plans for a future that once seemed impossible. I chose this life. I chose him, and I would make the same choice 1,000 times over. Because some love stories start in ballrooms, in meet cuties, in chance encounters that feel designed by fate. But ours started with death averted, with poison recognized, with an EpiPen stabbed into a thigh and a gasped realization. You're allergic to shellfish. Someone knew that. And from that moment of crisis, from that instant of choice, everything changed. I'm Maya Torres. I'm a trauma nurse. I'm the woman who saved Dominic Castellano's life. I'm his partner, his love, his future. And I've never been more grateful for a call to action button I pressed without knowing where it would lead. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love the story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.